Welcome everyone. So in this class, we'll begin our next section, which will involve learning how to apply classes or apply designs to classes and to IDs. So first of all, we have to understand what a class and an ID is. Okay, in HTML and CSS, we need a class to define specific features in HTML such that if we need these features to be repeated across the page, across the website, we only call the class. We don't need to call the particular feature all the time. So for instance, we needed a div that has red background. So you might just have a class called redBG, such that anytime we need a div with red background, we keep calling it. So that's how we need a class. We also have something else called ID. IDs are mostly used once, not repeated, but there are times you need IDs to name probably your header, and then you call them when you need it. So we'll see how to implement this in HTML and in CSS. So here we go. We create a new file, say call it abc.html. We also have another one, a style. Let's call it abc dot let's name it something that is reasonable. So we call it clsid.html, and then we call this clsid.css. Okay, so let's delete this abc.html. So we have this HTML page, our basic HTML. Okay, so we have div. Say we have two divs, okay, and then we call this one is div with the ID of red, and then we have another div with ID of blue. Okay, so the contents we put in this div with ID of blue and the contents we put in this div ID of red. So let's see how it appears on our browser. So we have this. Okay, so we have two divs here, div ID of red, div ID of blue. So in our CSS, all we need to do in our CSS, all we need to do, let me open that again. Let me open the CSS over here. So all we need to do in our CSS would be to call hash. So this ID in HTML is represented by hash, the hash symbol in CSS. So that if I say hash red and I apply a background color of red, then expectedly we should have that. Okay, we're missing something out. We needed to link the HTML to the CSS. Remember, we saw it in our last class, how to do that. So simple enough, we have href value linking to clsid.css. We have rel style sheet, and then we have type as text/css. Okay, everything should work now. Sorry, that should be rel. Okay, it's working as expected. So we have our first div with red background. And then if we wanted to do the exact same thing to our second div, we'd go ahead and have this. We push this aside. So we'd have this on our blue, and then we have a background color of blue. So that should work well. So that's how to use IDs to style our pages. So that's pretty much what I needed to do there. You'll see the advanced of using IDs and classes. Now to write a class, let's have another div here. And this is my class, okay? And then to have a class, you just declare it using the class keyword. And let's just say we call this bigger. So implementing class with CSS, what you need to do is just to use dots as full stop. You press dot, then you write the class name like bigger. So if we now say font size, and then we say 50 pixels, so you'd see that the bigger class takes effect. Now, the beauty is that you can apply this class to the rest of the divs. You can apply the bigger class here, copy and apply it here on blue, and then you see the changes on blue as well. So blue, the content of blue also becomes bigger. So anywhere you need the class, you can always apply it. You can apply it here, and it works. Okay. And also, if we needed to change this to something very small, we can do that in just maybe one place. We just change it to 10, and it will apply to all the classes. So that's the beauty of using classes instead of repeating what you do. Now, let me give you a scenario. You design a website, and then it had green, it had green color. Maybe you designed a website for an agriculture, and then it had blue color. It's not supposed to have blue color. And then all the while your boss was asking you, how far have you gone far with the website? You said you are going far. And then at a point, after some weeks, you are through with the website. But your boss takes a look at the website and then asks you to change everything. You're not supposed to use blue color. You're supposed to use green for agriculture. So what do? You go inside each of those pages, home page, and change everywhere you had blue to green. Go to About Us, you do it. Go to Contact Us. No, that's not the way to go. You can in one place. If you were using classes and ID, you can just change it in one place, change the background color, and it works for all your classes. It works for all your IDs. And also notice that you can add any other styles here. You can make it bigger. You can add colors here. Say, let me use yellow. I add color here, so it's yellow. So all the classes will now have, everywhere you call the class, they'll have a yellow color. So if I didn't select the class here, then we won't have yellow color on that first div. So that is how you implement IDs and class. Simple enough, very simple. Okay, IDs and classes can also be used to improve the basic things. Remember when we learned about the headers H1 to H6, we also learned about the different formatting tags, like having this to be bold. So if we had this to be bold, okay, we can see that this is bold. Okay, some things like that. You can use a class instead. For example, you can define another class here and then use that class here. So that takes us to something I'll quickly just explain to you. If you try to have another class definition inside of this, probably like this, with a class of something else, something, okay? You will notice that that will drop to another line. So rate drops to another line because, let me make this larger. This value of rate drops to another line because you've declared another div and it drops to another line. There is a tag you have to use if you are declaring tags inside lines and you don't want them to break to the next line. So you can use span tag. So you use span tag. So we still have that rate with a class, but still on the same line. So we have it like this. So let's define that class in our CSS. So we have dots. Remember, classes are dots, not hash. So we have dots smthg, I think. And then we can say font size 55 pixels. We can say font weight bold. Okay, so let's see how this goes. So if we check that, you now see that it's bold, we can add a color to it. Color white. In our previous class, we learned how to write white in hex codes. So we use FFF there. So this is how we define classes and how we get to use them, how we define IDs and how we get to use them throughout our web pages so that they'll be beautiful, they'll be nice as we want. So thank you for joining this class. Hope to see you in our next class.